What's good, folks? Welcome along to the TR-6S Quickfire Workshop. My name is Matt Chiquan, aka Recluse, and I'm going to be your pilot for the next hour and some change. Welcome, very glad to have you guys along. We got a amazing cavalcade of artists lined up for you guys today, showing some TR-6S demos. Before we talk about those folks, I want to shout out my man Chris, aka Cool Out, who's also co-captaining. What's up, my man? How are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling good.
All right, good to see you. If you guys don't know, Chris is a DJ and a producer, and also one of the lead tutors on our Roland Cloud Academy. So if anybody does own any of our IRA products, as well as Phantom products, Chris and a couple of other folks do offer courses if you register those. We'll talk about those at the end of the program today. So, as I mentioned, we have some amazing artists lined up to check out demos from today. A really diverse range of artists and styles of music. So I really want to celebrate that. And the fact that this unit right here, the TR-6S, is perfect for making all kind of different styles of music. It's got the sound palette that you hear in many, many styles of music, from house and techno to trap and hip hop. So as a result of that, we're going to see some demos from lots of different folks. So we're checking out demos today from Jubilee, DJ A-Track, Artelon, DJ Wonder, Unique, Underground Resistance's new crew, Wave Jumpers, and Flostradamus. So that's a pretty wild lineup that you might see in a festival. Luckily, we got our own little festival today with these demos. So we're going to get into it. All right, let's start off talking about the TR-6S. This is the little sibling of the TR-8S. You have 6 tracks of drum programming here. These are labeled bass drum, snare drum, low tom, hand clap, closed hat, and open hat. These can be flipped out and interchanged with other instruments quite easily. You got these beautiful little sliders here, which we're going to see puts a great effect in these demos today. You can change the colors there as well. At the bottom, we have our step sequencer, 16 steps, and you can maybe you can see that steps 1, 5, 9, and 13 are illuminated. So for people that are new to hardware or drum machines, that denotes basically the main beat that you would count out: 1, 2, 3, 4. So you basically will program through this, and we'll walk through all of this today on the live stream. Additionally, you have some knobs here, so you can rock and change tuning, decay, and assign control here. And if we pop out, you can also control your effects using these knobs. Got some other cool stuff like fill-in and some other cool features we're going to get into today. So, with all that said, let's check out the first demo from Jubilee. Just before we watch it, let me give you guys a little bio on Jubilee. If you're not hip to her music, Jubilee is originally from Miami. She grew up on a steady diet of Miami bass, electro music, rave music, jungle music, drum and bass, etc. So needless to say, her 808 pedigree is definitely on point. Make sure to check out her latest album on Mixpack Records, Call for Location. She also has her own record label called Magic City, and she's been doing DJ sets on her Twitch channel, twitch.tv Jubilee, /Jubilee DJ. So Jubilee's posted up in New York these days. She's been there for a while, and this is where she comes to us tonight on her demo. So let me kick it over to our producer, Gabe, and let's roll that demo, Gabe. Hit it. Nice.
Cool.
Big ups, Jubilee. Thank
Now-
you to Jubilee and everyone who's sent in these demos. We really appreciate it. So the cool thing about Jubilee's demo, one cool thing was that she's actually using the pattern she made on the TR-6S. So
That was
she
a
was
preset?
one of, yeah, that's right. So it's pattern bank 3, number 8. So if you own a TR-6S, you can check this out yourself. It's called 407 beat, and that kit and that pattern is stored in there. So she actually made this and a couple of other presets on here. And if you don't know, we had other artists that contributed as well. Telephone Tel Aviv, Sean Rudiman, Richard Devine, Daedalus, DJ Python, as well as some of the internal team made some really cool patterns for this. So this is a great way if you are new to hardware, drum machines, and this kind of hands-on approach to music making. There's a whole bunch of patterns for you to familiarize with. So, Chris, I was wondering maybe if you could walk us through the kit and just kind of break down the sounds a little bit for us.
Yeah, I have it here. So definitely, she came with that dancehall flavor, and I have the kit up here. I think that's bank 3, pattern 8. Yep. And there it is. So obviously you have the 6 sounds, and you have controls here at the top if you select the sound. For instance, we're not here on the snare. We can change the decay, which you heard in her performance. And then also, looking at the video, I could tell she was utilizing the variations a lot. What variations are basically like sub-patterns. So a standard pattern would be 16 steps. But in addition to that single pattern, you have these variations which are sub-patterns. They can either be used to extend the pattern beyond 16 steps. So if you want a 32-step pattern or a 64-step pattern, or as you can see in the video, she's using the variations almost like parts of the song, where as an arrangement to go between different song parts. So there's like one part right there. So each variation can be like a different part, like the breakdown there.
And on that one, she's got the MFX kick on, right?
Yeah.
That's
So if
pretty
we
cool.
deselect the track, then these 3 knobs become the global reverb delay and then the multi effect. So you have. And then with the variations, you can bring the part back in. So the one thing that you'll see with all these videos on the 6S is that it's very interactive and very hands-on, because in addition to being able to bring parts in and out on the fly, tweak the sounds on the fly, you have the faders, so you can utilize that also, and a bunch of other things that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah,
There's
that's
just a couple
dope.
things I noticed that was really cool is how she used the variations.
For sure. Yeah, and just using the sliders, the variations to shape the arrangement as she goes, which is really cool. And some people have been asking, what if I want to make something longer than 8 bars? So each one of these sub patterns, it will equal 16 steps or a bar, so you can make an 8-bar pattern. But all you got to do is just chain those patterns with the sub patterns, right? So you could say if you wanted to make this 64-bar pattern, you would just copy it 3 times. You have 4 in total, and then you could just chain those patterns together, right?
Yeah. And also, or like say if you wanted to create an arrangement with these variations, you could take this one pattern, chain it into adjacent pattern slots, and then you can choose, okay, on the first pattern slot, I want variations A, C, and D. And on the second adjacent pattern slot, I want variations, D and E. And you can kind of pick and choose from those different sub patterns to create like a linear arrangement.
Yeah, that's a great way to create some kind of dynamic in your set.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, real quick, I think we got a comment that maybe speak a little bit closer to your mic.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you all right, but I just want to hear your dulcet tones a little more clear,
okay.
my man. Hey, so before we go to the next video, you guys probably couldn't make it out, but Jubilee, in that video just before shooting it, she got her nails done. And normally I wouldn't point this out except for the fact that these nails are super fly. Check this out. She had 808 nails done. You could see the 808, the beat grid, the Roland logo. So she went above and beyond that. So I just wanted to shout her out and say thank you for bringing the spirit, the 808 vibrations. So,
Great.
so there you go. So cool. Let's keep it moving. Let's check out the next video from our man A-Track. So hopefully you don't need to introduce A-Track to you guys. You will have heard of him. He's one of the world's most famous and leading DJs. I just want to say that, at Roland, we're huge fans of who he is as an artist. And that's not only because he makes great music and is an amazing DJ, but he really embodies an artist that's always kind of pushing his craft, embracing new styles and new technology. And he has always been at the forefront of taste making in general. He's been DJing for a very long time, since he was 15 years old. I remember seeing him play when he was that age. That's how old I am.
World champion.
He's been a world champion multiple times over as a DJ, and really kind of progressed into becoming a great producer as well. Started his label Fool's Gold in 2007, and if you haven't checked it out, the Goldie Awards is something he started as well. It's like a beat and DJ battle. They've been running it for 4 years now, I think, and it happens kind of at the end of usually in October. They did an online one this year because of COVID, of course, but be on the lookout for that. We usually sponsor it at Roland every year. It's a lot of fun. So without further ado, this is a demo that A-Track actually did for his last Goldie Awards, but it's really worth checking out, and we're going to break it down for a little bit for you, but let's see what he does, and then we can come back and talk about it.
Woo.
Yeah. Yes, yes. I love the
man, I like that.
facials. I love the facials. Anytime you're DJing, especially if you're doing these little like drum machine live PAs, you got to make those faces, man. That stink face, it was dope.
Yeah, yeah.
like it.
That's what playing a drum machine is all about. Having it's like baking a cake. It's simple ingredients, but you can do so many different things with it.
Yeah. My favorite, I don't think A-Track was doing it. My favorite is when cats are touching the knobs like they're red hot, they're fire hot, and they're like,
The
you know what I'm
ingredients.
saying? Quite a dramatic effect. I love it. So that I love that demo because not only is it just A-Track, but he's kind of, I don't know, it's like doing some kind of wild footwork style.
Yeah.
Using a wild, crazy array of sounds, using the 808 sounds, which are kind of quite, with modern treatment, quite distorted. And at one point, he brings in those FM sounds. It just really kind of takes you to outer space, which was quite cool. And then, as we talked about before, it was kind of creating and shaping the arrangement with the pattern variations, and then using other things like the decay. And then I also noticed he was using the master effects quite a bit with like the sideband filter. So cool out. Can you talk to us a little bit about the MFX and maybe give us some demos of those?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going by the kit he had there, and obviously, like I said, he's mixing the classic TR-808 sounds, which the 6S has. So it has that whole history of Roland drum machines from the 80s. But then it also has the FM sound engine, which has all these new sounds. And then on top of that, in addition to having effects on each sound or each track, you also have a multi-effect on the master, which he was using the sideband filter. So like, he was doing stuff with the the decay. And then if you deselect the channel here, these become global for the global reverb, delay, and then the master effect. So then you can just toggle on and off, and so you have a bunch of effects there that you can use to tailor the sound, and can be either performance or also be used just kind of simple compressor, something just to tighten up your sound. So that's the M effects. I mean, 6 sounds, but you can do so much with 6 tracks.
I mean, that's true. And I was thinking about it. Some people is like, oh, maybe that's not enough tracks. But if you listen to music, man, a lot of tracks they're quite simple, and it's not like, as a producer myself, I often take the maximalist approach, and I always have to check myself. But like some of the best songs are 6 tracks or less. There's no reason why you can't use this.
Simplicity is actually hard to master, I think.
It's almost harder, isn't it?
Yeah, if you can make something sound good, if a small amount of elements sound so good that your ear doesn't tire of them, and that you can still communicate emotion and just jam out with it, then I mean that's when it's something good, instead of just piling on a million sounds and playing at the same time.
That's what's up. I agree. So that's a good segue into our next artist, who kind of took a similar approach. So shout outs to Artelon from San Francisco. Really excited to have Artelon on Dirty Bird Records. He's coming. If you guys are familiar with sound, very dance floor driven tech house DJ and a great live performer doing live sets. It's funny because he mentioned that he only just got the TR-6S recently, but he actually was able to master it quite quickly. Partly because he's a great producer, he knows gear, uses a lot of hardware stuff, but he was raving about the sound quality and just how intuitive it was, how he could just kind of get his hands on it and kind of work and navigate through it and create something on the fly. So I really like this demo. He's kind of exploring the feature set and the sounds as he live constructs a beat, and we're going to see this again with Unique, who also takes a similar approach. It's a really cool way to kind of get to know the possibilities of the unit. So
cool.
With that said, let's roll to the Artelon demo, and then we can talk about it for a minute.
Cool.
Word up, word up. That was dope.
unique.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Classic, just classic approach to just slowly building that up, and using the faders, and the FM sounds a little bit as well, and playing with the decay and everything. And sometimes those real simple things elicit a really great effect, and they hit the audience. Even just simple stuff like bringing the hi-hat in, just really brings energy up. I was cracking up because our producer Gabe wrote, got the dice. I don't know if you guys saw that, the dice roll. Am I on the camera? I can't even do it. It was dope. He was feeling the vibes. Yeah.
The one thing I really took from that video is that, it's like everyone has a different approach, to making music, and the beauty of something like the 6S is that it can be used in so many different ways depending on the user. Not only by genre but just as far as workflow. Like he did something that I never thought to do, which is he made the pattern first and then was actively browsing the sounds as the pattern was playing, which is something that I would never think of doing because I'm, want to find the right sounds and then get inspired and then, what kind of beat can I make with these sounds? Where he's just like, no, I know the groove and the vibe that I want, and I'm just going to find sounds as the pattern's playing. I'm going to browse and find sounds to fit in. That's, to me, was crazy.
That is cool. And it's, I think typically you wouldn't think you would do that in your production, but if you want, sometimes the hardest thing is keeping your arrangement and keeping the programming fresh, and that might be one way to do it. Is if you have a pattern but you change the sound.
Yeah.
I think it's a good observation.
Yeah, and the 6S makes it so easy because, as a pattern would be playing, you could easily just go through and, browse different kits or browse different sounds, just different things as it's playing. And then on top of that, you have the FM sounds, where, with the FM sound, there's something unique, where you can actually morph between different waveforms, or different versions of the sound. So like a simple snare could go from there to that, and you can morph between them.
Yep. So just for folks who don't understand what we're talking about, on the FM sounds on the TR-6S, you have the option to assign morph to your control knob. And morph is like a macro control, so it controls multiple parameters at the same time. And in this case, I had to go to our engineers and ask them, what does morph actually do? And so they explained to me it's actually a combination of FM depth, FM ratio, and feedback. And so that's how you can get these very minute turns on the control knob, create these really distinct or kind of amazing changes in the sound.
Yeah.
Chris, can you demo that real quick? Do you have like an FM sound? You can just kind of slowly scroll through the morph so we can hear it.
So let's say you have, so this is on this snare right here. So with the morph knob all the way cranked to the right, you have that sound. All the way to the left, you have that sound. And then in the center, you have kind of like the clack. And so you can actually... so
That's
you can
dope.
just get so much more variety in the sound just by moving that one knob.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of the drum sounds they will have an FM. For every iteration of these different instruments, bass drum, snare drum, will have FM versions of those, and everyone sounds very different. There's kind of a characteristic you'll hear, but they all sound very different. And that morph control, like I said, just a slight turn of that control knob will produce really different results. It's a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's check out the next video. There's some things that we're going to see in this one coming up from DJ Wonder that we haven't touched on yet, specifically motion and things like that. If you guys don't know DJ Wonder, he is one of the most creative DJs out there, one of my favorite radio DJs. He's on every morning on Sway in the Morning Show, Shade 45, Sirius XM Radio, and he's always mashing up styles, bringing a real element of storytelling to his sets. Really good at kind of impromptu sets as well. Like people challenge him and he'll put these cool sets together. So definitely check him out if you haven't heard him. on the radio, and he's also, a club DJ. So he's generally playing around New York City, but touring around as well, around the States. And it's, it's a great time because so many DJs are finally getting back out there, bands and performers. So make sure to get out and support these folks. I love this video too because it brings an element of DJing into it, and it also a bit of comedy and video production. So without further ado, Gabe, hit it. DJ Wonder. DJ Wonder with a serious face, but being
staring into your soul.
I love it. Yeah, that was dope. So, what he was doing, I was seeing some new techniques there. One thing to reiterate is that, we have 3 sound engines. Your ACB sound engine, that's the analog circuit behavior. This is something that's been painstakingly modeled after classic circuits of the TR-808, 909, 707, 606, 727, et cetera, et cetera. We also have the FM sound engine that we've been talking about. And then finally, you can also play your own samples. So there's stock samples in the library, but also you have the ability to import samples and play them on the TR-6S. So that's kind of what we were seeing there. I'm pretty sure he was playing some of his own samples and then kind of playing it live and live tuning it. So just to show you guys, you can actually insta-play some of these sounds. So Chris has been doing it. You already see. So if I go to hold shift and insta-record, I can play these sounds in real time. So he was kind of live triggering that sample and using this tuning to do that. Now, one question came in because we posted this on our social channels, and someone asked, how is he changing the pitch? How is he doing it while scratching? And he said, is Serato controlling the drum machine? So the answer is actually this little magic button here. It says variation, but underneath it says motion. You probably can't see it because it's very small, but this is motion recording. So he basically pre-programmed all those pitch changes using motion. So cool out. I know you were going to show us a little bit about how motion works and how we can automate some of these parameter changes to enhance our performance.
Yeah, definitely. The cool thing about motion is that we talked before about how when you select the track, these 3 knobs take over and you can control various parameters depending on what sound engine is being used. Like we said before with the FM sound, it would be more you have this control knob that you can assign to different parameters. And then you also have the decay and then the pitch. Oops, maybe I should. Right? So that's cool for live performance, for changing up the sound. But with motion, you can actually record that into your pattern, these knob movements as automation data. So let's say if I was playing this and I wanted to, all I have to do is just make sure motion's turned on. Whoops. So motion's on. And then when I'm in instrument record, and just like that, I record that knob movement. Additionally, you can go in and you can do it by step. And you can motion record and edit the motion of various parameters, whether it be the velocity, which is the volume level, the pitch, the decay, even the global effects. So you can make like the reverb or the delay coming at a certain time. So it really just kind of makes it to where your patterns can be way more dynamic, and you can have full control over the sound at any point, in your pattern.
Absolutely. And that's how you can actually program chord changes too, if you have like a chord sample or whatnot.
Yeah, melodies, bass lines, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And just a pro tip, if you hold down a step, you'll see that it actually shows you which parameter you can then edit for the motion recording. If you use copy and utility, you can scroll through. So in this case, tuning, decay, control, and velocity. And if you turn off your tracks, you could do the same thing. And this is going to be kind of global motion. So reverb level, delay time, delay feedback, and MFX on and control. So a little pro tip. Another thing that worth mentioning is that he was using it in his DJ set, and some people have asked, does TR-6S for instance sync with Serato? And we do have the TR-8S, the TR-08, the TR-09. These are all supported by something we call TR Sync. So if you are a DJ and you want to sync up your drum machines, you can use those. Unfortunately, the TR-6S does not do that. He was kind of live mixing with it. We also have our DJ controllers, which all have drum machines on them. And we'll sync to your tracks. So this is great for transitions, for remixing, redrumming, etc. A lot of fun, and quite unique to Roland's product line. Another cool story though, like this kind of thing has been around for a long time. Like people mixing with their drum machines, treating it like an extra deck or an extra song. And a story that I remember, one of the first people I heard about doing this was Jimmy Jam of Jam and Lewis. And I had the great pleasure of helping him out with some tech stuff a while ago. And he told me a story back in the day when he was cutting his teeth as a DJ in Minneapolis. He had a TR-808 on stage with him and was mixing live with his records,
Wow.
And yeah, it was such an amazing thing to hear because, I'm originally from Detroit, and I knew of cats who did that on stage, but going even further, people thinking along those lines. So it's so cool that the technology is, it's a little easier to do now, but it's a great way to kind of do this hybrid approach to DJing and live production.
Matt, one thing I noticed also that probably, since we're talking about him utilizing utilizing the 6S Live, or DJs in general utilizing the 6S Live, is that you actually have nudge control on the 6S too.
You do.
So you can nudge it back and forth just like you would a deck, like kind of pushing the record.
Yep.
So that would aid
Very
you
useful.
mixing by hand.
Very useful.
And I know also in that video he did a lot of step loop too, which is a performance feature on the 6S.
True. Let's show that real quick because that's one of my guilty pleasures, man. I rinsed that a little too hard. So
It's addictive.
It is kind of addictive, right? So I don't have a beat. I'm going to make a beat real quick. I'm going to do something super simple. I love how you can just kind of, as long as you got your kick on the one, everything usually sounds pretty cool.
It sounds so on purpose.
Yeah. Okay, so now if I hold this step loop button, any step I hold will repeat. So I can just pop it in for fills. I can hold multiple steps. So it's a whole lot of fun.
So cool.
You can easily overdo it if you're not careful, so use it sparingly. But it's a great way to just throw some fills in or to funk up your pattern.
Matt, lean into it, man. Lean into it.
You'll look up and everyone's left the club.
No. The thing about step loop that makes it addictive, in my opinion, is that it's hard to make step loop sound bad because it's always on beat.
It's always on beat. Yeah,
it's always on
right.
beat.
Yeah.
You'll never clear dance floor hitting step loop because it's not like the beat's gonna be jarring. I mean,
it's not like a bad mix. Shoes in the dryer, 1,000 horses. No, it's always spot on the grid.
It's always
and
on
funky.
the grid.
Yep. So, hey, just for our viewers out there, if you guys have questions, pop them up in the chat, and we can answer them as they come in. But we're gonna do a little Q&A at the end. Also, shout out to Jay Ybarra, who's manning all that today in answering your questions as they come in too. So, if you do have questions, don't hesitate to hit us up. All right, let's keep it moving. So let's check out Unique. Coming from New Jersey. So if you guys aren't familiar with Unique, she's an amazing producer and DJ, the queen of the Jersey club sound. and one of its foremost DJs and producers. She got a ton of releases and parties under her belt over the years. She's been touring the world and sharing stages with some really big acts. And I was just checking her socials and excited to see that she's actually hitting the road again next week. So as I said, a lot of DJs are starting to come out again. So hopefully you guys get an opportunity to see her. And I also noticed that she's got a new release dropping on Bandcamp. New EP tonight, I believe. So get over to Bandcamp and check out Unique. This demo is, again, like Unique was talking about how she does not use hardware a lot. She's more of a DAW-based producer in the box. And, she just loved the hands-on approach to production and to the TR-6S. She was very, very excited about it, saying she was going to use it more in her production and in her DJ set. So this one's quite a little bit longer. It's like a slow burner, but I think you guys will enjoy it. And it's similar to Artelon in that she's kind of working through some of the features and really kind of developing and building up the sound, and it gives you an idea of a lot of the possibilities. So Gabe, if you could be so kind as to roll the Unique clip, please. And shout out the nails too. nice, nice.
Wow.
I love it.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I just closed my eyes and I listened, and at first I was like, okay, she's just exploring. Okay, she's exploring. She's playing some stuff, but then all of a sudden it just turned the corner and then she just hit onto the groove. And I looked up and I saw her hands moving in the video. I'm like, oh, yeah, she knew when she hit it.
Yeah, exactly, right? She plateaued. She figured it out. It all kind of
Yeah.
gelled and like, boom, there's the track.
Yeah, that was the track. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I like it, and I kind of liked it too because it was her style Jersey club, like especially that kick pattern, but it also was kind of leaning Detroity kind of techno vibe, which was quite dope. So as I mentioned before, like I really love how she just built it up and she kind of explored the features and she's playing the FM sounds. The other thing she was using was the delay to good effect, so she kind of had a master delay, kind of on a a dotted eighth note maybe, or something that pattern that kind of gives it that kind of swing. That kind of brought it all together, which is really cool. And as I mentioned before, she hadn't really used the TR-6S or hardware before. She was really loving it. She said she's going to use it in her DAW setup. So Chris, we were talking before about some tips for folks who maybe have a DAW setup, aren't using hardware. How could they integrate this into, say, an Ableton setup? So you got a little demo for us set up, right?
Yeah, definitely. So like you said, some people didn't grow up on hardware. They've only used computers, and so they'll enjoy the immediacy and the hands-on of hardware, like a drum machine like the 6S. But they still want to be able to use it, with their digital audio workstation. They're using Ableton, Logic, any other thing like that, where they do their main writing and making their tracks. So on the 6S, you have the USB on it, which not only can power the unit, but also you can send both audio and MIDI over USB, where you can utilize the 6S as a sound module. So let's say if you don't want to use the internal sequencer and actually make the beat in the 6S, but you want the hands-on feeling of being able to shape the sounds and do your sound design and stuff like that, you can use it, the 6S as just like a sound module in Ableton. So I'm going to show it real quick. Let's go here. So I have an Ableton session here. And you see here, and on the 6S, I'm just in instrument play where I have my different sounds. And so I have on the 6S where it's not set to receive any type of clock signal or start with Ableton. So it's only accepting the notes to play the individual sound on the 6S. And then in the Ableton, I'm going to go into the Ableton Preferences real quick. Let's see here. Okay, and make sure I'm going to zoom in to make sure you can see this. So here we have the 6S selected as the input. And then if we go into the input configuration, you'll see that the 6S shows up as an audio interface, and where you have audio outputs for each one of the 6 tracks. And you can set those up to where you have both a stereo pair, which is the main output, and then 6 mono outs, which would be individual outputs for the each individual sound that comes out of the 6S.
And is that, Chris, that's 3 through 8?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes, that's 3 through 8. So if we get out of this. Okay, and then also in the MIDI, I should have shown the MIDI settings, you have it to where you would select the 6S as for your MIDI input. And so what I did here is I just created a MIDI track with a clip in it, where it's set to send notes out to the 6S. And then I also created a bunch of individual audio tracks, a stereo pair for the master outs, and then each individual one. So here, if I just hit play on Ableton, and you see the pattern that's in that clip, and then the notes that are being played for each one of the sounds, and then you see how each individual sound is playing through a separate track in Ableton. So that's pretty much it. So in addition to that, if you let's say if you don't want to have separate tracks for each individual sound, there's also an external instrument, which is a single track type instrument in Ableton, where it'll be both the audio and the MIDI on a single track. So those are two ways to do it. It's a bunch of different ways you can utilize MIDI depending on what your focus is. But if you're used to sequencing with your DAW, you can easily just through USB utilize the 6S as a sound module, and then record each track in the 6S to an individual track in your computer.
Right, and then pick up from there if you want to mix it further, use your plugins or whatnot.
Yeah, add your melodic elements and stuff like that.
Yeah, very cool. Great demo. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. All right, so let's check out the next artist. So this is actually a bit of a debut here, coming from Detroit. This is Wave Jumper. So this is the newest techno crew to come out of Detroit's mighty underground resistance collective. They sent me a little bio. And I'm going to read it verbatim so you guys can get to know these guys. So the Wave Jumpers, fronted by Tyree Stinson, come from the underwater empire of Drexcia. They are a Drexian elite hit squad who carry out secret assassination missions. They also make music for your ass. I love it. The truth. So if you guys aren't hip to Drexcia, they take their name, Wave Jumpers, from a classic Drexcia track. Drexcia was an electro duo from Detroit, legendary. They got a huge cult following, and James Stinson was one of the two folks behind Drexcia. So Tyree is actually his brother. So they've started this new crew called Wave Jumpers. They do have some new music coming out via Underground Resistance, so be on the lookout for that. I just got an advanced listen to it, and let me tell you, funky. So funky. It's so good. Very much in the Detroit vein. It'll most likely be on vinyl, so hopefully you got a record player. If you're a fan, make sure to grab that vinyl. It should be out in the next month or so. Without further ado, now these guys have actually done a bit of a testimonial as well as playing the demo, so they're going to talk a little bit about the TR-6S. Gabe, can we roll that clip, please?
What up, though? We are the Wave Jumpers, transmitting to you from the UR headquarters. We would like to feature a piece of equipment that has become a part of our aquatic arsenal, the TR-6S. Even though we love the TR-8 and can't wait to get our hands on the TR-8S, this little bad motherfucker is definitely giving us everything that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, play something for us, Mike.
Oh, yeah. That is funky.
It has plenty of features. I mean, you can get up in there with all your classic sounds, the 808, the 909. I mean, it gives you everything that you expect from Roland. But it also gives you those master effects that you can get in there and tweak your track. You can input some weak beats, put that accent on it. The FM sounds is just off the chain. I mean, truly dope. I mean, it's unlimited on the drum kits that you can create. That's what we love about it. I mean, we can get in there and just create some just sick drum kits and just straight up destroy some tracks with some drums. For sure. But one thing about this TR-6S, I mean, it's affordable. Me being a returning citizen, it was light on my pocket. So all my fellas in the hood, if you're trying to get you a little piece of gear that can compete with the $1,000 equipment, this right here is what you need. I mean, you can do whatever you're looking for. Hip hop, jazz, some funky pop, whatever it is you're trying to create. You can do it with this little piece of gear right here. We had to endorse this TR-6S because it's definitely putting out everything that you expect from a piece of rolling equipment.
Fire.
Yo.
Fire.
Matt,
I love it.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. the next time I think about unplugging the 6S and putting it on the shelf, I know it's not likely to happen, but I think that they might knock on my door and like ask me what I'm doing.
What are you doing, Chris? Didn't you hear? We said this is dope and you should use it, Chris.
Yeah. Are you using that 6S? Now we're gonna come visit you.
I gotta say, huge thank you to Underground Resistance crew for that, because these guys are some of the truest, uncompromising, realist musicians out there, who've been doing it since the late 80s. Legendary crew. And they don't usually do these types of demos. This is not their thing. They don't endorse products, and I think that really speaks to how much they're really digging the TR-6S. That's a huge cosign. I want to say thank you to UR crew and to Wave Jumpers. That's really special. What really struck me about this one, Chris, is having been buying these records from UR and like Direct Beat, like all those classic Detroit electro sounds. They really got the sound off the TR-6S. Like they were able to make the TR-6S sound like those records. So everyone's had a different kind of sound, but they were able to key into that authentic kind of sound, really leveraging the classic TR sound, but also the FM sounds. They were using some kind of weird pitch bend stuff, and it was a simple beat, but it was super effective. I thought, like, really, really dope.
That's one of the things I love about the TR-6S, and that I think anyone that's used a lot of the classic Roland drum machines of the past can instantly feel comfortable, because it's not just a new machine. It's like the update. It's all built on that legacy. So the not only the limitations of the TR-6S, but taking all the whole history of the sounds and putting it in one small box, and all of a sudden being instantly familiar as far as how you sequence and stuff like that, and the character of the sounds. I mean, it's like history right in front of you.
Yeah, it's keeping that tradition alive. And, one thing I want to mention real quick before we go to our last demo, Underground Resistance, based in Detroit. They're right there on Grand Boulevard, right down the street from where Motown started. And in a very similar vein, they've bought up buildings around the area. They're building up their community, and they're starting a school right around the corner from their headquarters. And so this can be Underground Academy. I think they're slated to open next year, 2022. And, I'm going to definitely talk to these guys more about the TR-6S and potentially getting into the classroom, because this is such a great tool also for people learning, for younger folks that want to learn about that Roland legacy, but also just programming beats and the basics of making music. My 9-year-old loves this. He loves to rock out on it, and even my 5-year-old gets down on this thing. So not to say it's a toy by any stretch. It's super powerful, but it's simple enough where it's a great teaching tool, and you can make amazing beats with it at the same time. So
yeah.
All right, so let's check out the last demo. Last but not least, our man Kirk Camerucci, aka Flostradamus, one of the biggest trap artists out there. Been doing it for about 15 years now. Super excited to have him as part of today's event. So he's been making music since about 2006, remixing huge artists, everyone from Rihanna to Major Lazer. He's been touring the globe for many years now. Excited to say that it is actually hitting the road again tomorrow, I think, and he's gonna be coming around the states doing, I think, probably about a dozen dates. I think he's starting in South Carolina, so make sure to check his socials. It's the re-entry tour, and it's kicking off tomorrow. So let's check out this last demo from Flostradamus. Please, Gabe, hit it. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kurt. And that was a really cool of you coming through with that, sir. Appreciate that. A cool little demo there from Flosstradamus, aka Kirk Camerucci. One thing that we didn't really talk about that he was doing is obviously central to trap music and other styles as well is that sub-step pattern, being able to get those really quick trill hats on your track. So if you're not familiar with it, let me show you how it works. I'm going to go back to whatever random beat I made before. Let me pull these out. I'm just going to focus on the hi-hats. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. And let's just look at the hi-hat pattern. So if I hold little sub button here, I can hold it and you can see what the value is, 1/2. So what that means is if I press the note, that step's gonna go yellow, and that's gonna add 2 hits to that one step. Now I can turn this and I can make it 3 per step, so you can hear 2, so you can hear it going faster, and I can add it here. And then I can do it, even more. I can do a 4th. I can do a flam, which is 2 quick hits. Doesn't work so well with that pattern I made, but you get the idea. So it's super simple to do, just using this little sub button, and you can set the value for your sub step there. One other thing that we didn't touch on, which we saw actually a lot in DJ Wonder's video, was this little fill-in button. So that's quite cool too. Do you have a demo for that, Chris? I mean, I can show it, but
let's see.
Easy to know.
Let's see here.
It's yeah.
Yeah. So we talked before about how you have the variations, which can be sub patterns. Additionally, you have
hold up. Gabe, can you switch to Chris? Gabe must be having a little coffee break.
Oh, I'm not on.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
There we go.
Hey,
Here
buddy.
I am. All right. As I was saying, so we talked before about how you have variations, which are sub patterns on in that pattern slot. Additionally, you have fill-ins, which are 2 more additional patterns that you can have that can come in at a certain rhythmic interval. You can say every 8 measures, every 16 measures, every 32 measures, to have this other pattern come in to use as a fill-in, which would be like a transition to go from one part of the song to the other. Or you can have it to where you can trigger that fill-in pattern on the fly with this dedicated button for triggering the fill-in. So like say on this one. So I can trigger that on the fly. So you have 2 fill-ins, and then also you have the scatter effect, which is a kind of multi-effect that's usually kind of like a glitch effect, which does different things where it can like break up the sound, chop it up, reverse the sound, pitch it up, that you can also have that be your fill-in. So that can be used as a performance tool also, or just to actually have it come in automatically, just to break up and put more dynamics into and variation into your pattern.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. You seem like you could teach this. Oh wait, you do.
That's
You're
right, Cloud Academy.
You're the Cloud Academy. And not only that, you are up on every forum all the time helping people. I got to take my hat off to you, sir. You are a very engaged patron of the funk. You are the man.
I try
Salute.
to bring it, man. All I can say is I love the 6S. I grew up on Roland drum machines, and to have something that has all of the classic Roland drum machine squeezed in one small package, and then at the same time the FM sounds, which it's a whole nother type of sound, and then also if that wasn't enough, having the hands-on sound design and also being able to import my own sounds if I really needed to. Personally, with all that stuff, I don't find the need to bring in my own custom sounds, really. But to have all that in one package, I mean, it's just you can do so much with it. And I love this little guy.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, look, we've gotten through all of our demos. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We're going to open up some Q&A, but our man Jay, who's been handling and monitoring the chat, has been answering the questions as they come in. So it sounds like there's not too many questions for us to answer, which is cool. Maybe that's a testament to the fact that we did okay today and you guys learned some new things. Couple parting mentions. Our next Synth and Ira live stream is going to be August 3rd. So put it on your calendar. We're going to be posting that up soon, and that's going to cover the MC707 Groove Box. It's going to be hosted by my friends and colleagues, Dustin Good and Peter Brown, two amazing product folks from Roland, also great producers in their own right. And they're going to show you some tips and tricks on the MC707, things that you're not going to find in the manual. I think they're going to hook it up to a modular rig as well and really put it to the test. So they're going to go deep on it. So make sure to check that one out on August 3rd. Also want to mention anybody that's purchased any of the TRs, let me rephrase that, TR-8S or TR-6S, any of our DJ controllers, our MCs, Phantoms, or our VersaLab MP1, you are eligible for the Cloud Academy online real-time training courses that is taught by Chris Coolout, who's been co-piloting with me today, as well as Brian Lamb, Unit E, who's also very involved in the forums. Shout out to Brian in Hawaii. These guys do an amazing job, and they're there to help you learn your instrument and really harness your creativity on these Roland products. So make sure to, if you do have these units or you do get one, to register those, and you'll get on Roland.com, and you'll get an automatic invite to our Roland Cloud Academy. That's about it for us. I just want to shout out and say one more time, thank you so much to all the artists who joined us today.
Yes.
Really appreciate all those demos you guys made. Super cool, and really just showing you guys the range of different types of music you can make. I want to shout out you guys, the viewers. Thank you for riding along with us today. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you to Chris Coolout. Salute, sir.
Matt, thanks for having me.
Good hanging with you today. Thank you to Gabe and Jay and Michelle holding it down behind the scenes. If you are interested, make sure to reach out to your local dealer. Thank you to all the dealers that picked up our stream as well today. Make sure to go grab one. As we said, this is quite affordable. This isn't going to hurt your pocket too much. So TR-6S plus lessons, you can't really go wrong there. So thank you so much. It's been Recluse. Appreciate you guys. Have a lovely evening or afternoon or wherever the heck you are. Be good to yourself and make some funky beats. We out. Peace.